What day is it? Today it's the day that Tarrell gets his own rig. Yay! Yay! So I guess Tarrell's got a twin brother because we've got his full-bodied character, and now I have this rig that Tarrell is mashed into, and he's only a half a body because there's not enough room underneath for a full body in this guy. But now I can just set full Tarrell aside, and oh, you know, which hand? Which hand? Ah, he's got to drive with his open hand. I can't put the gun in his right hand. He's got to use the shifters on this old clodbuster body. But now Travis and Tarrell can actually go out wheeling by themselves, or they can go together on the trail, and I won't have to constantly listen to Tarrell complain about Travis's driving. You know, that was probably his biggest gripe. And also not being able to have fun. He wants to have some fun too. So I bought this rig from an undisclosed person. You can identify yourself if you would like. And I didn't even know that Tarrell was going to be inside. I said, hey, could you put a driver in there, or you know, let the driver come along with it? Because I didn't know it was a half interior. And it's like, oh yeah, part of it. And he came in and said, oh yay, I didn't even know that. Just a huge surprise for me. It was great to receive the rig and see that, you know, it's just a wrestling character, I know. But now I actually have, you know, y'all are familiar with Travis and Tarrell just as much as I am. So now I actually have a pair of rigs that kind of go together. And this rig, you know, nothing wrong with this heavy old beast. It's fun to drive, but this one is also going to be fun to drive in its own way. It's going to be a little bit higher performance. I'm not sure if this is built to some comp specs, maybe class 2 if I was going to guess, but I still don't know my comp specs well enough to tell you. But we got this hacked up clodbuster body. We got a 3D printed blower on the top. It's all droop suspension. We have a lot of metal in this guy. Metal front, metal underneath in here. It does have all metal links. Looks like it is built on some really OG SCX-10-2 axles. And I know that they're old because they're multi-piece instead of the single part housing. That was a design change they did. I don't know if it's for cheapness or because they maybe had a problem with their original housings. The axle shafts actually didn't line up with the locker on that first gen, and but there was enough looseness that it really doesn't matter. But it was something that I noticed because at the time I was making lockers for rigs, and when I set up my jig to measure everything, it was very obvious that the shafts didn't actually go into the locker. Totally getting off topic here, but let's keep going through this guy. We got rock lights under here that looks like it's it looks like it's a high voltage LED. I know it's not because it works on, you know, 12 volts or whatever, but really big rock light underneath that guy. We also have functioning headlights. It came with the servo. It came with, just as it sits, it came like this. It was essentially ready to go. I could just throw a radio in there and be going, essentially. We'll need to change the connector out from a Dean's plug to an XT60 because that's what I use in all my rigs. But, you know, we got this like half tube work back here. It's a beast. It's running 4.75s or something like that. 4 point. Oh, I can't read upside down. I think my eyes are getting bad, guys. I could normally read this, but I'm having trouble reading upside down, and maybe it's just this light, kind of a diffuse light. 475, yes sirree. TSL SX Super Swampers, which means that these are made by probably RC4WD, and if they are not, my apologies. Please correct me down below in the comments. But these don't actually have, you know, they're licensed or whatever. They look totally real. It even says tubeless on the side, but it doesn't have the RC. Maybe, oh, super tiny. Is that it? Is that it? Oh, I can't read. I need more light. Interco, really tiny interco. Yeah, it doesn't help. Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter, but let me know in the comments if you know who makes these TSL Super Swampers. If these are RC4WD, their compound has gotten a lot better since the last time that I purchased them. It does already have a Crawlmaster motor inside, which is awesome. And an old Axial ESC, the AE2 or whatever, which was like a essentially a cheapened version of the BRXL. It has half the FETs. It doesn't quite have the low speed control on it. These days it really didn't have the low speed control since our last update. It doesn't have active drag, none of that on there. So I may switch out the ESC, maybe a BR Mini. BRXL, it really doesn't matter because both will fit. And I mean, otherwise it's ready to go. I'm sitting here making more work for myself when less work is really what I need, which is why I bought a ready to run rig. But as you can tell, I am pretty excited about this. I really like custom rigs, and unfortunately I don't have as much time as I'd like to build on them. And a lot of that is, I have to choose my hours carefully on what I do, especially with family time. I've always been a workaholic, and for me to stop work when the kids get off of school, it's kind of a big deal, and I try to stick to that. And if I'm wrenching on rigs all night, then I'm really not interacting with the family. So I've lately, at least, I've had to cut that off. When the kids get a little older, maybe I'll get that time back. Maybe they'll join me in wrenching. I certainly try to get them involved as much as possible. And yeah. So I got a little bit of work to do on electronics for both of these rigs before we go to the Ultimate Scale Truck Expo. But I believe I'm changing my mind on what I'm bringing, and it's going to be this guy, and maybe I'll bring a TRX4 for backup, bring that Sport for backup or something like that, because they're pretty bomb proof. And if something happens to these, I'm going to want to just kind of run back out on the trail. I don't want to spend a lot of time fixing it. I'll fix it later that evening when we get off the trail. That'll give me enough wheels to wheel. So I guess I'll just call it there. I need to do a little bit of work, and that explains my favorite new rig. I even like the colors. How about y'all? The orange on the gray with the orange accents on the wheels. Yeah, that'll be a fun rig. So I do thank the gentleman that I purchased this from. He gave me a pretty good deal on it, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. So maybe we'll go out wheeling it soon when I get back from USTE. For sure. Yeah, we'll do that. Travis and Tarrell are going to go for another trail ride. Do thank you for tuning in. If you got any questions about this rig or where babies come from, leave your comments down below. Do my best to get to them. As always, have a good day.